I thought I'd put these two together as enough people have asked since my last little demo of the Model 15. And like with that one, I should caveat this by noting that the Model 15 I have here isn't a production model, so it may not be identical to what appears in the shops, but as you'll hear, it's close enough or identical in a lot of ways to think most of it will stay as it is. And in case you've not caught that original video, this was sent to me by a guy at Behringer who knew I had the Grandmother and he knew I'd pick one of these up to do exactly this. So I think he was just getting ahead of the game because he knew it'd do exactly what I did with like the Monopoly or the Pro 800. And I think that one in particular helped him to refine the synth after it was released. It got a quick firmware update that addressed most or all of the things that I'd spotted. So yeah, I think they were just getting ahead of the game, sending me this one first and taking on board any of my comments. I didn't get paid for it, by the way, but they did leave me with this, unless you think getting left with a £200 synth that emulates something you've already got is payment, in which case I will take it to the bank manager and see how much he'll give me for part payment for the mortgage. But anyway, I'm just trying to be as transparent as possible. And to add to that, I guess I should say that the guy that worked at Behringer no longer works there. So I don't think I'm getting him in trouble. But yeah, they've not sent me anymore. But I have put an order in for their MS5 because my mate's got this one he's repairing. So I'm hoping to get hold of it for a couple of days to see how close the Behringer is. And I'm doing all this for you folks so that you know what you're buying. And there are a couple of little things on this that we'll notice as we go through. I don't think they're anything particular to worry about. If it came out as is, I don't think it'd be an issue. I don't think it would impact the sales at all, but we'll see as we run through it. So let's kick off by just seeing what we've got here. We've got an almost identical set of matching or corresponding controls from the left to the right. On the left, we've got the arpeggiator and the sequencer. We've got the 3 switches there and the glide. Plus we've got these 3 buttons here for play, hold and tap. Play, hold, tap. They work for the sequencer as well. Then we move over to the LFO and we've got the rate. Plus we can send modulation amounts to pitch, the cutoff and the pulse width. And then we can change the waveforms here, and the waveforms are all the same. Then we move over to the oscillators, and on the oscillators, again, everything looks pretty similar, doesn't it? The main difference is that on the Model 15, we go down, we've got these sub shapes as well, and that's because this only goes to 16, as this one does here, whereas oscillator 1 goes all the way down to 32. I'll put these back because I'd set it up to do something. Then we've got the mixer, 3 inputs, 3 inputs. Utilities, we've got the high-pass filter and the attenuator, high-pass filter and the attenuator. And of course, we don't have a keyboard with a modulation wheel on the Behringer like we've got on the Moog. So we have a little modulation wheel here, essentially. And that's so that we can access these simply without having to resort to going to the patch bay and stuff like that. So it makes it work the same way as the Grandmother. Then we've got the filter. Again, same things here. We've got filter tracking, half off or full, half off or full, envelope and resonance, and then a 4-stage ADSR envelope, ADSR. Obviously the sustain on this, I shouldn't be wiggling it because I have set it up. Yeah, basically same ADSR envelopes. And then we've got VCA mode being the envelope, a gate with the release, and then drone modes, and we've got reverbs as well. On the Moog, this is a real spring reverb. I don't think it's a real spring reverb on the Behringer. I don't see why they'd put a real spring reverb in. I don't think there's room. Maybe I've not opened it up to have a look. But with the Moog, when you drop it, you hear the spring. That doesn't happen when you drop the Model 15, but I'm not going to drop them. Anyway, let's have a little play around with it. Okay, so going back to that intro sound then. Getting something pretty close there considering it took seconds to set up. So if we listen to the individual oscillators, let's turn oscillator 2 down on both of them. turn the resonance off as well, shall we? Super close those. Maybe let's get the charts up so we can see what's happening. Okay then. Look pretty identical those, don't we? Let's go to the square. Again, there's nothing in that really. Go to the pulse. And now to the triangle, and this is one where it's slightly different. Got that little buzz on the Model 15. Could just be this unit. But it does do it on both the oscillators. I think I might have pointed that out to them. Does make a difference on a triangle because you want that triangle sometimes to act as a sub, nice and low, without any harmonics in there. Anyway, let's not worry too much about that because I think I did mention it to them and it may well be changed by now. And you can see there on the top of those triangles, we're getting a little bit of distortion. In fact, let's show it on this first. See how that flattens off on the top? And you can hear it changing there, really nice that. Let's try it on this, where am I? There we go, mixer. Getting exactly the same effect. Let's put it onto the sawtooth. You can hear it getting a bit buzzier. Do it again over here. So it's got that distortion in there as well. It's not so easy to see on the square, obviously, because it's a flat top. Anyway. But I think apart from the triangle, those oscillators sound absolutely spot on, don't they? They've got sync on this as well. If we put sync on, listen to oscillator 2. Let's turn oscillator 1 down so we're not getting all those distortion harmonics. Let's put them on the same note to start. This is a weird thing this has just started doing. It's playing it like a few octaves too low. Brand new error. Started this morning. Oh, that's annoying. Turn it off and on again. Okay, I've got them back up and running again. If we listen to the sync on the Grandmother. Getting what you expect. Do the same over here. Oh, put the sync on. And that's not doing much there. And I think this must be a pre-production thing. Because even though we're getting the same tuning difference, no center indent on the Moog, no center indent on the Model 15, but there is center indents on things like the envelope amount on the Moog. There isn't one here, and there's another one I thought I found earlier on. Oh, the attenuator, that doesn't have a center indent, but this one does. Oh, no, it doesn't. Maybe just the envelope amount then. Anyway, back to the sync. Really peculiar that it does that, but I'm sure that will be fixed on when they come out. But just play with it, using the patch bay. Good reason to play with the patch bay, actually. We're going to use the envelope to modulate oscillator 2. So put that into the attenuator and then put the output of the attenuator into oscillator 2 CV. So now, turn that up. Put sync on. So we're getting what we expect. I'll do the same on this, just to show you how to do it. Take the envelope out, put it into the input of the attenuator, and put that into the pitch in. So now, turn it up. Just to show you the maximum again, let's turn that all the way up. And again over here, let's turn the attenuator all the way up. So getting very similar there. Except for at the very end, we don't go all the way back to a sawtooth. Let's get this back to 0, shall we? See if we can do that over here. So I've got to have the frequency well out to get that to 0. And again, I'm sure that's a pre-production thing because the sync is working. Obviously, this just needs a little tweak or two. Sound-wise, though, if we take sync off, have a listen to what we've got here. So those patches are very similar. Just checking the levels of gain on there. Let's just knock them down so we're not getting the distortion. So they're the same. Let's click on the sync. Pure prodigy, that. Slightly different. Definitely got sync on. Very slight differences here. They're not the same instrument. But I'm getting them the same, actually, aren't I? Let's whack it up a bit more. Yeah. Nothing in that, is there? Lingering on the sync a little bit, and that's because of that weird thing with the frequencies, but yeah, sounds great, I think. Moving over to the filter then. It's a Moog ladder filter, isn't it? As is this. Well, it's not a Moog ladder filter, but it is the Moog ladder filter design. And as we add resonance, we lose volume. Everything you'd expect. Behaving identically at the minute. Watch your ears. I'm going to whack the resonance up on both of them and then play with the cutoff. So it dies when it gets to about 20 kilohertz. Resonance is going up more, so do turn your headphones or your speakers down. Go straight up and off into wherever. Can't really do that for too long because I get copyright claims, but we can go really low. Let's take the oscillators out, actually. Listen to that. A little bit of a window rattler, and this does, the Grandmother does exactly the same. Ring this down. Well, again, this one goes really high as well. So I'd just say there's no real difference with the filters, to be honest. If I turn up on oscillator and just try and get a couple of tones out of it with some weird resonance maybe, so turn the resonance to about there. There we go. Let's see if I can repeat that over here. What was it on there? Let's just try and put the knob positions about the same to start with. Cool. Let's just do a little bit more of that, shall we? In fact, let's put the tracking on. Let's do a little bit of voodoo, right? Help if I played the right octave, wouldn't it? But yeah, that's identical. So as far as the filter goes, I'd just say it's the same. High filter is the same as well. Do you want to have a quick listen to that? Well, it just cuts out the low frequencies, so I'm not sure the value of it, but let's do it anyway. Let's take the filter output from the filter, and let's stick it into the high pass input and put the high pass output into mix 3, shall we? Or should we just put it into the VCA? Do the same over here. So I'm taking the filter from the low pass filter and sticking that into the high pass. I'm taking the high pass, sticking that into the VCA. All right. Yeah, let's turn the resonance off. Same over here, resonance down. Okay, so I think we've established the low pass and the high pass are basically identical. And just a quick look at modulation from the LFO. We'll use the LFO to modulate the filter. You don't get as much range, and I don't think it goes as high. The rate of the LFO on the Model 15 isn't as high as it is on the Grandmother, and I did report that back to Behringer when I first got this, so that may well have changed, so I don't really want to linger on it. Just want to show you what I've got in front of me. It may be of interest, it may be not, but it may well be out of date by now. To use the modulation on the Grandmother, you've got to turn up the mod wheel, so go from about 100, just over 100 to about 6K, 5K, something like that. Let's try that over here. So go from 100 to 800 there, whereas here, it's getting a lot more modulation. And let's hear the maximum speed we can get out of it, because these go into like FM rates. All sounds quite cool, that, doesn't it? Let's do the same with this. Oh, that's nice, that, isn't it? So I think we're getting a lot faster rate of modulation from the Grandmother. Let's take a quick look at the envelopes. Now, I did a little test playing from start to finish on maximums, and these are the differences in the two graphs that you get, or the two waveforms that you get, and they're the same. There's very slight differences in the decay time and the release time. Other than that, I'd just go as far as to say they're the same. Let's have a quick look at doing something snappy, shall we? Just something really simple to have a listen to how snappy they are. Just something weird there. It's like there's a blank spot. Let's add some resonance. Weird. So that's how snappy the Grandmother is. Hard really to tell, because as it just about comes in, we've got that little weird spot on there. Okay, so this isn't going to be really very scientific, is it? But let's turn the resonance up on the Model 15. Feels the same. Boy, it works properly. Yeah, I've had the filter pot replaced, the pitch bend circuit replaced, and now this decay has gone a bit odd, and it's doing the weird thing with the oscillator. So you do hear a lot about stuff online about the Grandmother having issues. This has had 4 now, and that one and that one I've only spotted today. That oscillator just going completely out of tune and needing restarting. I mean, it's okay now, but yeah, very peculiar. Wouldn't want that to happen in the middle of a gig, would you? It's okay now. And as we're just messing around with them, let's see if this one sounds the same. Yeah, I can pretty much match anything actually. Let's add oscillator 2 or oscillator 1 again. When I do try and match different tones, I mean, I've been playing around with them for a whole day yesterday trying to find things to show you, and most of it's just this. You know, you do one thing on one and it replicates it on the other. Let's go up another 2. Sort of boringly so. I don't know, let's add some more release on that, shall we? So I think I've come to the end. I think I've looked at everything. So yeah, what are the final thoughts? Well, it does the same and it pretty much sounds the same in all but a few cases really. There's the triangle, there's the sync and the LFO rate and modulation amount. But other than that, it's really got it bang on. We looked at the saturation, see what the saturation is same or similar saturation as we get on the Moog. Maybe those little differences will have been picked up. I can't remember what I mentioned to Behringer. I think I definitely mentioned the modulation rates, probably the triangle. I can't remember if I mentioned the sync, but on the production units, maybe all those are even closer. I don't know. But overall, yes, but you're not getting a Grandmother if you get this. I got the Grandmother because of the interface, because of the shape, the size. It reminded me of the Prodigy. I like the bulkiness of it and the fact that it's a proper keyboard. That's why I bought it. I didn't buy it for the sounds particularly. I bought it for the interface. So the Model 15, yes, you get the sounds, but you don't get the same playing experience. And I know that's an obvious thing to say, but if people think they're getting a Grandmother, you're not. You're getting something that sounds like it, looks like it, but is on a smaller, cheaper unit, which may be a lot more preferable to some people. You might not have the space and you might just want something that you can pop in your Eurorack to go with your other synths. So yeah, interesting. Some of them work much better than the others, I think, as a module. I think the Cobalt works brilliantly. It was originally a rack mount. I think the Wasp works great because it didn't have that many knobs on it anyway, and the keyboard on the Wasp was like a bit of a disaster, really, compared to a modern keyboard, at least anyway. The Pro 800 didn't feel too cramped. It felt like using my Prophet 600. So others, not so much. I think this one's one of the ones that I'd say doesn't quite emulate it because of the interface, but like we've seen, it does sound like it. So if that's what you're after, that's what you're getting. Well, I hope you like that, and if you did, please subscribe. Join me over on Patreon. Patrons get access to patches, samples, tutorials, and other little goodies, all for the price of a bit of a dodgy, lukewarm, frothy coffee a month. And do also take a look at my starskycar.com website. There's patches, there's samples, there's stuff to buy, and there's free stuff as well. As I always say, it's quite nice if you pick up even some of the cheaper bits and bobs. It all just helps to support the channel. Anyway, thanks for staying to the very, very end, and I'll see you next time.